Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast we bring you each and every week. If you could head over to the upper tier on YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button, and of course drop a like on the video as well. This is your preview. Liverpool versus Brentford, 5:30 Saturday, coming to you live from Anfield. Another big game as we try and continue this top four race and keep it alive. The games are coming now thick and fast towards the end of the season now. This is going to be a big one, of course, on the back of that win against Fulham. 1-0 win, always great to get a clean sheet. Alisson with a bit of work to do on the other night, with two big saves to keep the 3 points intact. Mo Salah stepping up at the penalty, won by Darwin Núñez. Blasted straight up the middle again, as we expect now from Mo. Confident again, taking penalties. But this is a big game for us, and we owe Brentford one from earlier in the season. That game was really the start of a real miserable run for us this season, so we could do with paying them back one in Anfield on Saturday at 5:30 evening kickoff. Brentford have rediscovered their form somewhat. 2 wins in the last 2 games, but was on a bit of a shaky run there for about 3 or 4 games. Since the United game really was the key one for me. I spoke about it, I think, on the Monday mashup on the Thursday tier talk with Darren, that was kind of a key game for me, where Brentford really showed they had dropped off somewhat from where they were and stuff like that. But it's certainly going to be an interesting game. Plenty of really good matchups and stuff like that and all. But yeah, similar to ourselves, 1-0 we won against Fulham. Was a big result for us. Just couldn't put anything together in the final third. All the build-up play was pretty good, but we did afford them a few chances, which was a little bit concerning. Chances that the likes of a Tony or an Mbeumo would probably take. So we need to be really careful about that. Now, this is a kind of a different game for me. We did say the other night previewing the Fulham game that it would have to be patient. We'd have to take our time, let the game settle, see how it goes, and then take our opportunities when they came. Now, we took the penalty, but we didn't really take our opportunities. With Brentford, I think it's going to be a little bit different. Brentford will be a bit more high-paced and stuff like that. Be a much faster game. So this one would be one where you'd want to get out of the blocks pretty quickly. Very different to the Fulham game. Marco Silva, a bit more patient in his play. I think with Thomas Frank, it's slightly different. I think he wants to get at it from the get-go and stuff like that. So this could be a much more fast-paced game, which may suit us. But again, it depends on who we put in there and who's available. If you look at current form at the moment, would be, we're on the back of 5 straight wins now and a draw and unbeaten at 7, so we're in great form at the moment. Reduce that gap down to 4 points against United, who of course are going to play Brighton and also have to play away to West Ham. So in theory, if results went our way and if United were to drop some points in both those games, there could be only a point going into next week potentially if we could beat Brentford. And then that would certainly make the top 4 race much more interesting. Do I expect United to drop maximum points to both Brighton and West Ham? Probably not. But look, let's just take care of ourselves and put our points on the board and see where it brings us. For Brentford, as I said, 3 losses, a draw and 2 wins, but certainly looked a little bit back to form there, picking up a big win against Forest after going behind at the weekend, winning 2-1, and then before that 2-0, big result against Chelsea as well, which has them back in form again. Team news, if you look at the moment, it looks like Thiago is gone for the rest of the season by the looks of things. Always concerning with Thiago. He's so good and so important to us in the midfield in terms of his passing and his creativity, but when he gets injured, he does be out quite a while, normally 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks. And I don't know, going into the new season, are we going to have to make a decision on that going forward and see what happens? But let's see how it pans out. Of course, we've lost Stefan and we've lost Calvin Ramsey and Keita and Firmino, all sort of doubts. Jota overcame a fresh knock to come on towards the end of the Fulham game, which is good news for us. He's banging form at the moment. Really, really important for us. Probably Robbo goes back in instead of Costas, I would imagine. I think Costas, he's just struggling to find a rhythm of the game at the moment. Quite rusty because he hasn't had a lot of minutes this season. For Brentford, Janssen is out with a thigh injury. Lewis Potter is out with a knee. Ajer might come in for Shakosha. the goalkeeper. And Norgard is no time for him recovering from a calf injury, missing for Brentford as well. So interesting dynamic. So if you look at the lineups at the moment for Liverpool, I think we'll go with the tried and tested, as they say. I think Jones will still keep his place, obviously with Thiago out. So you're going with Alisson, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Jones, Fabinho, Henderson, Salah, Gakpo and Jota. I think this is one that sets up better for Henderson than it does for Harvey Elliott. We mentioned that I thought Harvey would have started the other night against Fulham because his intricate play and stuff like that might lend itself better to us against that Fulham midfield. I think going in against this Brentford midfield, you need a little bit of power and steel in there. So he'll probably go with the usual Henderson, then Salah, Gakpo and Jota up front. Darwin might have to sit this one out on the bench again. Slightly disappointing against Fulham, even though he won the penalty, but didn't produce a whole lot outside of that, and looked kind of off it and kind of clumsy in the game, if anything. For Brentford, Ray is going to be in goals. Hickey, me, Pinnock, Henry, Janssen, Janelt, Da Silva and Buemo, Tony and Shada. That's going to be the Brentford lineup. That's what we're predicting there. In terms of a prediction, I'm going to go for Liverpool 2-1. I think this will be a tight game. I think Brentford will certainly score. It would be good. It was good for us to get that clean sheet against Fulham the other night, of course, but it did take 2 big saves from Alisson. And I think if we afford those opportunities to Brentford, they will take at least one. So we're going to have to tighten up the back. Still issues there in terms of when Trent moves into midfield, into that inverted kind of role, the amount of space that Konate has to take up. And then what happens is with him shifting kind of out to the right to cover a lot of that space, it opens up that gap between himself and Van Dijk. And we seen it against Fulham the other night when they played that ball straight through the central striker. It gave him an opportunity, so that has to be a lot tighter. And you can see what Alisson is saying to them then. He was talking during the game to Van Dijk and to Konate, saying you need to tighten up that gap. But the problem is if Konate tightens up that gap, well then it's wide open there on the right to play balls in there. So very interesting to see what happens there. Again, if we're not also pressing as much as we are from the front, we're going to have to be careful with playing the high line, especially against the power of Mbeumo and Tony. Very, very strong playing off the shoulder of defenders. Something to be really aware of as well. I'm going to go, as I said, for a 2-1. I think it'll be a tight game, but I hope Liverpool can keep this going. Now we have to win right out till the end of the season. Otherwise, top 4 is absolutely dusted. It's going to be a task as it is. But let's see what happens with United in the Brighton game and also in the West Ham game. And also, we won't rule out Newcastle at this stage yet. As long as it's mathematically possible, we'll see where it takes us. The gaffer is kind of not talking about top 4. He's just concentrating game from game. Get the 3 points on the board, move on and see what happens. But I think if it comes Sunday evening and we find ourselves just a point off United, if that was to happen, 2 losses for them in the next 2 games, if that was to happen, I think the gaffer would start believing that there's a potential opportunity there. And that could change things really for our season because we've been so far off it. Had a quick look at the betting as well. Looked up Paddy Powers today for the betting as well. So the match odds at the moment, Liverpool are 4-9 on. The draw's 15-4, just shy of 4-1, and 5-1 for Brentford to get the win, which is huge odds really considering what they did to us earlier in the season and the talent that they have. I also looked at the goal scoring markets as well. Salah first goal scorer 7-2, even money anytime, and Ivan Toney, the man of the moment at Brentford as well. Not that we should be talking about betting on Ivan Toney, but however, 15-2, nearly 8-1 to get their first goal, and just over 2-1 any time for Ivan Toney to score as well. They're going to be the key guys really in terms of goal scoring, Salah and Toney. And Mbeumo was in there as well, who's been very good for Brentford this season. But of course, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Liverpool versus Brentford coming up this Saturday, 5:30 evening kickoff underneath the lights at Anfield. Hopefully a raucous crowd as well. That's what we really need. Let's get behind the team now and push in for this top 4 till the end of the season, and let's see where it takes us, while keeping one eye, of course, on United and Newcastle and the results that they're putting on the board as well, which greatly affected because we may just happen to run out of games and may not have enough games to claw back the advantage that they have. As I said, let us know your predictions in the comments. Big win for the Reds, hopefully, and we will be back Saturday evening with a match reaction. Let us know, Reds.